as they go through the struggles that they're going through right now, facing starvation, deprivation of medical care, the inability to have access to the rest of the world with this medieval blockade that Azerbaijan has imposed upon them, they still see what we do here. They still hear what we say here. And if we can provide a little bit of comfort and support to the suffering people of Artsakh, to let them know that they're not forgotten, at least here in Los Angeles, we remember them, we are going to fight for them, and we are going to stand up to make sure that they get the protection and the aid that they need and deserve. And a lot of people in Los Angeles here, ask me, well, that's very far from here. Why should I care about what happens in the other part of the world? And I'm going to say this as briefly as I can. We have some support from one of the truck drivers. The reason that we should care about this is because America stands for sovereignty and democracy and self-determination. It's the basic core value upon which our nation was founded. When the founders of the United States of America stood up against a far more powerful enemy, one of the global powers of the world, and said, we insist on our own sovereignty and our own self-determination. And it led to the Declaration of Independence and the creation of the United States of America. That heroic action sent a message across the world about our support for democratic values. Well, if you fast forward to today, that's exactly what the heroic people of Artsakh have done as well. In the closing days of the Soviet Union, the Republic of Artsakh stood up and said, we demand our own ability to set our own agenda, to stand up for our own human rights, to elect our own leaders, and that means we leave the Soviet Union. And they left. They declared their independence from the Soviet Union. Azerbaijan objected to that and launched a war of oppression against the people of Artsakh, just as we had to endure the Revolutionary War to protect our own rights against the British. And you know what? The people of Artsakh won. They won their own independence, and in so doing, they sent a message across the world that even against the strongest of enemies, the values of democracy can prevail. And since then, since the 1990s, the Republic of Artsakh has demonstrated its commitment to democracy. And throughout its entire history as a republic, it's been under threat by the dictator of Azerbaijan. It's had its people shot down as they're plowing their fields by Azeri snipers firing across the border. It's had landmines circling its boundaries set by Aliyev and his cronies to try to, intimidate and kill the people of Artsakh. And yet, throughout all that time, the people of Artsakh have stood strong. And in the recent war launched by Aliyev against these people, there were horrible losses. There were horrible abuses of human rights. Prisoners were taken and are still held. Civilian prisoners still held by the dictator of Baku as hostages, not as prisoners of war, as hostages. So it's no wonder that the former prosecutor for the International Criminal Court has issued the report that he issued, Mr. Ocampo has issued, declaring that genocide is occurring right now in Artsakh. And if the world doesn't wake up, and if the world doesn't stand up to put this to a stop, it won't be just a blockade. It will be the complete obliteration of the Armenian people, and our thousands of years of history and cultural development in that part of the world will be destroyed by the bloody dictator of Azerbaijan. And people don't see that yet. They see a blockade. But I'm here to say it is genocide occurring right now. When our people were marched out into the deserts of Deir Zor, maybe people didn't see that as a genocide because they hadn't died yet. They hadn't been butchered yet. But as sure as we are standing here, that was the beginning of the Armenian genocide in 1950. And as sure as we're standing here, I can tell you that this blockade is the beginning of the genocide being committed by the Azerbaijanis against the people of Artsakh right now. So, it's important that we do this, and I'm so grateful to my colleagues in the City Council, and particularly Councilmember Tracy Park, who ran with this initiative, introduced a motion in Council to ensure that we could name this intersection Republic of Artsakh Square, so that as this is happening in Artsakh, they can turn on their televisions or look at their social media feeds and see that somebody cares. Across the world, somebody cares about their destiny and will stand up for them. And that's what we're doing here today. So I'm very grateful to all of the members of the council, but it's my great honor and privilege to be able to recognize Councilmember Tracy Park, in whose